Hey guys, welcome back to 428 Shibuya Scramble. This is TTA Gamer Girl signing on. So, in the last episode, we apparently did Tama's entire 11 o'clock story. And instead of giving the drink to Sasayama, we gave it to we tried to give it to some random guy, but he didn't take it, so Sasayama didn't have the drink to give to Kano on the train. And apparently poor Tama is stuck in the suit. Great. And now we are getting off the train in Haruku Station. Haruku Station? I English very good. We're getting off at Harajuku, still trailing the suspect. The train pulled into Harajuku Station and the man got off. Area east of the Japan Rail Harajuku Station, corresponding to Jingumai 1 Chome in Shibuya, or 1 Kome. Chome. Once a bustling shukuba, or post station, where travelers could rest while journeying across the country. In modern times, it bustles instead with high schoolers after school displaying flashy youth fashion. Clothing and accessory stores and fast food restaurants in the streets, many cutting-edge trends in Japanese youth culture get their start here. The detectives following him disembarked accordingly. The suspect walked along the platform and took a seat on an empty bench. Was he checking to see if he had a tail? Sticking around on the platform at a station where you just got off was pretty unusual behavior. Not wanting to arouse the man's suspicion, the investigators from the MPD made their way down the stairs as inconspicuously as they could. Kano, however, had a sudden inspiration and went to speak to one of the station attendants. Sorry to bother you, but I think I left something on the train just now. He tried to keep an eye on the man on the bench as he fed his story to the attendant. The suspect sat silently on the bench, attaché case clutched securely in his arms. He didn't really look like he was checking for a tail. Was he waiting for someone else then? Before long, a train heading counterclockwise around the loop had arrived. The man rose from the bench and stepped up to the boarding area. Wait, what the heck? If this guy got on the counterclockwise train, wouldn't that just take him right back to Shibuya Station? The man boarded the train. Kano had no choice but to follow suit. Was this guy playing them? The suspect got off again once the train reached Shibuya. All he'd done was go to Harajuku and come right back. Kano reported into Kuze. The suspect has returned to Shibuya Station. Acknowledged. Keep trailing him. Kano felt himself growing increasingly paranoid. This criminal organization didn't seem too keen on getting away. And here was HQ giving these guys free rein. Something was off. He was sure of that. As he tailed the mark, Kano took out his phone. What were Tateno's instincts about the case right now? If the senior detective had any advice, Kano would love to hear it. He dialed Tateno's number. The rang the line a few times, but nobody picked up. Probably he was too busy seeing to Hitomi's safety. Kano felt bewildered. They'd been letting the suspect lead them around for over an hour now. During an abduction case, you generally didn't update the victim's family on any developments in case they tried to interfere. Kano could only imagine what the Osawa family was going through right now. After a short walk from Shibuya Station, the attaché case was handed off yet again. This time, the recipient was a tall, dark-skinned man. Again, the Shibuya-based task force split into two groups in order to tail both suspects. Kano stuck with the man who had the case. As the previous man had done, the newest suspect wandered around Dogonzaka for a while. repeatedly looping around and around the same locations was a weirdly roundabout way to make a series of handoffs. Excuse me, detective? Kano turned around with a start. Oh, hey, he said. I know you. It was Leyland Palmer, the lecturer who'd been an eyewitness to the kidnapping. The man practically radiated concern. How's Maria doing? Is she alright? I'm very, worried for her. His Japanese was more halting now. My heart, it is with her family. Kano gave a quick look around. It didn't appear that they were being watched. Maybe Palmer knew more than he told the police earlier. If Kano talked to him now, he might get some additional clues. If the syndicate spots us, my cover's blown, we're hosed, I can't stick around like this. I mean, yeah. If the syndicate spots us, my cover's blown, we're hosed, I can't stick around like this. Lilith, I'm sorry, but at this stage, I can't share any details. Is that so? Oh yes, of course. Leland cast his eyes down and on his head. Please don't worry, though. We're still hard at work investigating. Yes, thank you very much. With that, Kano turned away from the lecturer and went back to tailing the suspect. He pulled his phone from his pocket. It was Rumi again. It was weird that she'd called twice when she knew he was in the middle of something important. Had something happened while she was waiting at the cafe with Shizuo? Kano picked up hurriedly. What's the matter? What's the matter? You know what the matter is. Rather than... Oh, that's... What's the matter? You know what the matter is. Rather than Rumi's soft soprano, it was the threatening masculine voice that came over the phone. Uh-oh. Kano felt his whole body stiffen with dread. Is this my father-in-law speaking? Don't remember being anyone's father-in-law. The speaker's tone was firm and flat. No, I know, Kano found himself at a loss for words. So you're dating my daughter, huh? Sir, yes, sir. And Kano barely squeaked out his reply. Thinking about getting married? Yes, sir. And speaking of which, I'll have the chance to sit down and have a nice long... Then how long are you going to keep me waiting? Hurry up and get your ass over here. Oh, how very much Kano wished he could do exactly that. Sir, I would, but forget it. The words came in an angry huff. You can't have her. Goodbye. What? Sir, please wait! As Kano cried in desperation, he heard Rumi's voice on the other end of the line. Dad, you can't just use my phone like that! You were taking too long in the bathroom. Give it back! Rumi? Kano tried and failed to keep the heartbreak out of his voice. Sweetie, what's wrong? Your father just said he doesn't want us getting married. What? Dad? What did you say to my boyfriend? Listen to you, calling that boy little pet names and whatnot. I think you're a little too attached. Daddy, you haven't even met him. That's why I told you to have him come see me. How long is he gonna make me wait? Kano listened as the two argued on the other end of the phone. The phone must be lying somewhere between them. Could this get any more awkward? Rumi, I'm sorry. Kano shouted apologetically into the mouthpiece. This is all my fault. Please, you don't have to fight like this. The phone clattered as Rumi scrambled to reach her cheek. No, I'm the one who should be sorry. Sorry for what? Sorry for what? It was Shizuo grumbling in the background. You have nothing to apologize for. I'll deal with my father, Rumi said hastily. You just focus on work, sweetie. I know you're in the middle of something really important. Thanks, Rumi. Kano was legitimately touched. I'll do my best. Kano hung up and went back to the task at hand, more determined than ever. For Rumi's sake, not to mention the victims, he needed to focus on cracking this case. The man he was tailing was walking several meters ahead. There was no telling when Kuze might give the arrest order. Kano braced himself to spring into action the very instant the order came down. Mobile command to all units. Once more the director's voice came in over the wireless. Was it time to make the arrest at last? We've identified the man who first picked up the attaché case by the statue of Hachiko. No arrest then. But still, crucial development. His name is Tariq Al-Karawan. He's got priors for larceny, illegal possession of narcotics, you name it. I probably butchered the last name at least. I think I might have pronounced the first name correctly. I'm not sure. Oh god, what kind of name is that? What What country would that be from? He belongs to a former criminal syndicate that's operating in Shibuya. So they could be multiple different people. Kano felt his apprehension rising. If that syndicate was behind the kidnapping, they were anything but amateurs. And though they might be leading the police on a wild goose chase, they certainly weren't playing around. To be continued. Yes! Oh god, I'm glad that didn't end badly. That time. Alright, so it's... I think Achi is still on keep out, so we need to start either Minorikawa or Osawa. I'm gonna do a Minorikawa. Just... The Super Club 90 raced down Route 264 towards Shibuya. Is that a Super Cub? Not a motorcycle? Motorcycle produced by Honda with an 85cc engine displacement. Common sight around town, often used by newspaper and postal delivery workers. Many owners are big enthusiasts, sometimes even swapping out parts such as the handlebars and mufflers and giving the body a repaint, resulting in fashionable bikes that don't even look like the Super Cubs at first glance. I'm sorry, that face. It sounds like the noise with the mouth open the way it is. It sounds like he's just going, The speedometer remained at a steady 60 kph. Pumping the gas harder was no use. This was as fast as the bike would go. Minorikawa shouted as he sped along. Damn it, I'm not letting you die! He jerked the handlebars and blew past the truck on the inside. The driver scowled at him as he shot by. You maniac, you trying to get yourself killed? Just the opposite! Minorikawa shouted back, I'm saving lives! The stoplight ahead turned red, cutting him off at the intersection. Oh, come on! He had no choice but to slam on the brakes. But his agitation boiled over as he waited for the signal to change again. How long is this thing gonna stay red? Hurry up already! He brought the bike right up to the very edge of the line, keeping the engine revved like a dragster ready to peel out. Not on time is not in my dictionary. The light turned red. Then Minorikawa's own light turned green at last. He hit the accelerator as hard as he could. His engine died with a sputter. Huh? Oh, come on, what the hell? Car horns blared angrily behind him. In a fury, he pulled his bike over to the side of the road. No matter what he did, the engine refused to turn over. What was the problem with the spark? Was the problem with the spark plug? Or maybe the battery? Whatever it was, he didn't have time to figure it out now. With tears in his eyes, he left his bike, his companion of 10 years, abandoned on the roadside. He was about to break into a run when he saw a taxi dead ahead, letting out a passenger. Oh! Was it Minoru, who was in the cab when Kano stepped in front of it? He hurried to hop into the cab. Just head for Shibuya Station. I'll let you know exactly where once you get closer. The taxi driver nodded coolly. Of course, sir. 10 minutes! I needed to get there in 10 minutes. The driver grimaced. I'm afraid getting there in 10 minutes is a bit... 15 minutes, then. Sir, that's still... Look, that's all the time I can afford. Assuming traffic conditions cooperate, sir, then maybe. I can't make any promises. Minorikawa looked in at the driver's ID photo above the fare meter. His name was Hachiro Kimizuka. He was a middle-aged fellow, looked a little rough around the edges. Mr. Kimizuka, I chose you for this. You can do it. Chose me? Sir, I'm pretty certain we met by chance. Okay, sure, I suppose you could phrase it that way. Anyhow, can we get going? Right. Kimizuka said with a faint sigh. I'll see what I can do. The taxi pulled away at a decent clip. Minorikawa's frantic journey had started 20 minutes earlier. He'd been at home working on an interview piece. He clucked his tongue in annoyance as the ringing phone broke his train of thought. Why did someone always call right when the words were flowing? If he didn't keep getting interrupted, he could probably wrap this piece up in no time. Be quiet! He pointed at the telephone as he yelled. I'm writing here! But his shouting did nothing to silence the ringing. He didn't have much choice but to pick up. Minorikawa speaking. There was no response. Hello? He hesitated, ready to hang up. Was this a prank call? It's me. It's Toyama. It was Teruo Toyama, president of Heaven Publishing. Publishing company that puts out bold, hard-hitting non-fiction books and tabloid-style scandal rags. The invincible journalist penned by company president Toyama himself was a candidate for the Japan Notification Prize. Non-fiction prize, not notification prize. Oh. What do you want? If this is about work, I'm already booked pretty full. He'd taken words from Heaven Publishing on several occasions, but the pay was hardly competitive. Lately, he'd been turning them down a lot, so he hadn't heard from Toyama in a while. No, this isn't work-related. Then what do you want? I'm kind of pressed for time here, working on some copy. Minorikawa was in no mood to beat around the bush. It seemed like every conversation he had with Toyama went like this. Ah, you're busy. That's good. Busy's good when you're a freelancer. Toyama sounded unusually sympathetic. Minorikawa found that off-putting. I hear sales have been going good on your end, he said cautiously. With this month's 4-Star General Gossip bill? 4-Star General Gossip was a monthly magazine, Heaven Publishing's flagship publication. Magazine focusing on the private lives of celebrities and politicians. Most of the articles found in its pages are random nonsense, but 1 out of every 100 or so contains an actual major scoop, making it a difficult outlet to ignore. It had a small circulation and, for the most part, flew under the radar, but once in a while they'd land some big scoop and sell like crazy. This month's edition had come with a free scratch card, a gimmick that had moved 100,000 copies with ease. 5 winning symbols in a row wins 100,000 yen, was it? Minorikawa asked. A weak, moist sound came through the receiver. Baffled, Minorikawa listened more closely. It came again, then again. It kind of sounded like sobbing. Mr. Toyama, are you crying? There was another sob, and then yet another. What's going on? Where are you? Minorikawa asked. At the office, Toyama managed. He let out another mewling whimper. What's the matter? It's nothing. Well, it's gotta be something. Come on, what is it? Toyama gave no reply. Mr. Toyama, you still there? Silence. What is it? What happened? Look, doesn't tell me anything. What the hell is going on? Toyama squeaked out a drawn-out whine. Okay, I'm sick of this. I'm hanging up now. Minorikawa was about to break the connection when he heard Toyama murmur. The only thing I can do now is die. The taxi lurched to a sudden stop as the driver slammed on the brakes, and this is when Kano jumped in front of the taxi. So, are things going that badly that he's gonna kill himself? Oof. Minorikawa pitched forward, his face smacking against the back of the seat in front of him. Kimizuka stuck his head out the window. Careful, buddy, he shouted at someone in the street ahead. You're gonna get yourself killed. Morikawa blinked the stars from his eyes and saw a man moving alongside the cab. The guy grabbed onto the handle of the back door. Please, I need you to let me have this cab. No way, Minorikawa snaps. So who did this guy think he was? Please, I'm begging you here. Look, I'm in a hurry, pal. Get your own cab. I know how ridiculous this must sound, but please, this is really, really urgent. Urgent. Yeah, it's a matter of life or death. Please. This guy did look pretty desperate. Look, I'm sorry, but I'm dealing with something urgent here too. Then let me ride with you. I'll pay for the whole fare. My entire future's on the line here. The guy sure was persistent. Maybe he was telling the truth. But Minorikawa had problems of his own. Sorry, buddy. It's life or death on my end, too. I gotta look after me and mine. Right. So sorry to trouble you. Finally, the guy gave up and shuffled away. Guess it couldn't have been that much of a life-ending crisis after all. Minorikawa checked his wristwatch. Damn it! That just cost us 5 minutes. I'll try to make up for it, sir, the driver called back. The taxi lurched into motion, the engine quickly revving up to speed. That was... Once inside the building, he avoided the elevator in favor of rushing up the stairs. Heaven Publishing rented out the 3rd and 4th floors. In all likelihood, Toyama would be at the editing department of 4-star General Gossip on the 4th floor. When he got there, however, the door was locked. Mr. Toyama! Hey, Mr. Toyama! He shouted and banged, but there was no reply. Something was seriously wrong. Minorikawa took a deep breath and then kicked the door in. Whoa! The sight as he stepped into the office was filled him with horror. Oh, shit. Minorikawa clutched the sides of his head. I'm too late. Oh no. If only I'd gotten here a little sooner. Bad end. Just 5 minutes. Minorikawa rushed to Heaven Publishing. Why does Kano want a taxi so badly? Check his 11:10 timestamp and the situation might become clearer. Huh? Was I not supposed to? Oh. Oh, right now I've got a job to focus on. Kano shook his head to clear out the foolish impulses. What the hell had he been thinking? A girl's life was on the line. Marrying Rumi was more important to him than anything, but now wasn't the time. Besides, now that he thought about it, running out on a critical investigation to meet with the old man probably wasn't going to score him any points. Rumi's dad didn't strike him as someone who'd approve of shirking one's responsibilities. Kano would just have to wrap up this kidnapping case a little ahead of schedule. Then he could have a proper sit-down with Shizuo. As he considered his plan, he caught sight of a man with the attaché case walking by. Okay. I think that fixed it. Yeah, because I can't... Is there a way to skip? Okay, I need to go. Hang on. Can I pause for a second? Have I total tip jump on? Oh, okay, there we go. Wait, what is it? Yeah, okay. Is this what you can do? This is what you can do to realize, isn't it? I'm gonna speak to myself, aren't I? The taxi tires squealed as the cab rounded a corner. The shift in momentum made Minorikawa topple over in the back seat. There we go. 10 minutes on the dot, the driver announced. Minorikawa righted himself and looked out the window. Shibuya Station. I knew you could do it, Mr. Kibizuka. He told the pub driver how to get to Heaven Publishing. It shouldn't be more than 5 minutes further. Sir, if I may ask, just what are you in such a hurry over? Son of a bitch. I beg your pardon? Kibizuka bristled. And not you, the guy who's waiting on me, Minorikawa said. I'm gonna give that son of a bitch a piece of my mind. The multi-tenant building where Heaven Publishing had its offices came into view. The taxi stopped outside. Minorikawa opened the door as he hurriedly reached for his wallet, then he stopped. What if the worst had come to pass and he needed to take Toyama to the hospital? Should he have the taxi wait here? Or would it be better to call an ambulance? Sir, is there a problem? The driver asked. Wait here, I'll be right back. No, I'm fine, you're a lifesaver. How much do I owe you? Wait here, I'll be right back. Minorikawa was out of the cab in an instant, running for the building. Once inside, he avoided the elevator in favor of rushing up the stairs. Heaven Publishing rented out the 3rd and 4th floors. In all likelihood, Toyama would be at the editing department of the 4-star General Gossip on the 4th floor. When he got there, however, the door was locked. Mr. Toyama! Hey, Mr. Toyama! He shouted and banged, but there was no reply. Something was seriously wrong. Minorikawa took a deep breath and then kicked the door in. Whoa! Toyama was standing on a stool, about to slip his head through a noose that hung from the ceiling. What the hell are you doing? Minorikawa, I almost said Morikawa. That's a different game. Minorikawa had lunged for Toyama. The two men crashed to the floor in a tangled heap. A pile of clutter slid off a nearby desk and fell on top of them. Minorikawa, what are you doing? Toyama whined. Dragging himself back to his feet proved something of a challenge. That's what I'd like to know. Minorikawa's fury was mounting. What the hell is this all about? He jabbed an accusing finger at the noose hanging from the ceiling. Oh, that. One of the fluorescent lights died. I was just swapping it out. Don't you feed me that bowl! What was that phone call about? That business about how the only thing you could do was die. Tell me. Just a joke. Toyama curled up his lips into a faint semblance of a smile. Minorikawa wasn't buying it, but he didn't have time to press the issue. A cute little voice echoed through the editing office. Daddy, I'm back from the store. A little girl came walking in, carrying a length of rubber gas tubing. It was Toyama's 5th grade daughter, Hana. Teruo Toyama's only daughter, currently 10 years old. The night Hana was born at Shibuya Central Hospital, there was an unexpected fireworks display outside the window at the maternity ward. As he looked out at the bursting rockets, Teruo decided to name his daughter Hana, after the Japanese word for fireworks, hanabi. Well, that's cute. Minorikawa stared. Toyama? You were planning on using that hose too. He hesitated to end the sentence with gas yourself to death. Well, you know, it's almost gas heater season after all. The hell it is! It was a beautiful sunny April day outside. Well, you know how sensitive I am to the cold. That's getting truly ridiculous. Minorikawa got right up into space. Listen, just explain to me what the heck is going on, okay? He kept his voice low, but his eyes were steely. Hana clung to her father, gazing worriedly up at the two men. No, it's just... Toyama let out a long, heavy sigh of resignation. Oh, come on! Yeah, there was the jump. There we go. It's the scratch cards that were in 4-star Central Gossip. That's where the problem is, the scratch cards. I mean, we know what scratch cards is, but type a lottery card featuring areas printed with a special silver ink. These silver inked areas can be scratched off with... Oh, that's an ink? Thought it was just some weird paper. Or a coin to reveal potential winnings, providing a quick speed lotto fix. In order to prevent the symbols or letters underneath the silver from showing, though, the back of the card is printed in black. Somehow you always seem to lose when you've got your hopes up, but manage to win when you least expect it. And what is the problem? If you shine a light on the cards from behind, you can see where the winning symbols are. Whoa. I messed things up dealing with the printing company. All of this, he gestured vaguely. It's my fault. My responsibility. He proceeded to explain the situation in detail. Word was quick to leak on the internet that there was a way to find the winning symbols, and suddenly thousands of card holders turned up en masse to collect. Heaven Publishing was a hit with the massive financial liability, and the employees rushed to flee a sinking ship. Before Toyama realized it, he was the only one left at the company, and he was up against the deadline for next month's 4-star General Gossip. If I have to drop next month's issue, I'll be stuck in debt even deeper. And if that happens, I'm finished. Toyama gave a dismal groan. So don't drop the issue, Minorikawa snapped. He pounded his fist right into the side of a cardboard box, but Toyama just shook his head weakly. I've been up for 3 days straight trying to fill the pages. It's not enough. I can't do the impossible. He dropped his gaze to the floor. Countless scratch cards lay scattered about. They'd probably been amidst the pile that had fallen off the desk earlier. Each card showed a neat row of 5 win symbols. A neat roll of 5 win symbols. You can't know if it's impossible if you don't see it through. I'll never make it in time. The proof needs to be done by 8 o'clock this evening. The final stage before printing, when the copy or manuscript is checked for errors, not sending corrected proofs to the printer before the deadline can result in the book or magazine in question not making it onto the shelves in time for release day. Well then, Minorikawa thought to himself. He let out a sigh, then held his hand out to Hana. Hana, would you mind giving me that hose? Hana gave her father a quick look and then handed the rubber hose to Minorikawa. Is we necessary? He tossed the rubber hose into the trash and then jabbed his finger at Toyama. Show me the layout and the draft proposal for next month's issue. Toyama blinked a few times in disbelief. Huh? You can't possibly be serious. I'm trying to help. Now show me the layout of the proposal before I change my mind. After a brief incredulous pause, Toyama hurried off to grab the paperwork. A layout, in publishing speak, is an outline of a magazine showing which articles will occupy which pages. Minorikawa gave a quick once-over, finding that 12 of the pages were still blank and untouched. He wanted to punch whatever writers had been assigned those pages. See what I mean? Toyama said. It's hopeless. He sounded perversely proud of his failure. Getting enough material to fill 12 pages by 8 o'clock. Yeah, it was definitely a tall order, alright. Says who? Minorikawa replied. Remember who you're talking to here. You seriously think you can do it? You're joking, right? Minorikawa shot back. I seriously know I can do it. There's nothing in this world that I hate more than a bad joke. Why are you doing this for me? Toyama was getting misty-eyed. I'm not doing it for you, you spineless wimp. I'm doing this for poor little Hana. Minorikawa, I'm so sorry. Toyama bowed his head so deeply Minorikawa thought he might put his face through the floor. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to your daughter. Oh, forgive me. Please forgive me, Hana. Toyama clutched her tightly in his arms. The girl hugged him back on the verge of tears. Hey now, enough of the waterworks. I've got your backs. Don't worry about a thing. Minorikawa picked up the draft proposal for the pages that needed filling. The words Shibuya Scuttlebutt Special were plastered across the cover sheet in big, bold type. Okay, so a 12-page special edition on block on Shibuya. Fair enough. And first on the docket, drink yourself thin with burning hammer. This reeked of a scam. The only way drinking more of something would make you lose weight would be if it were mixed with a laxative. Probably. Still, there wasn't enough time to tweak the layout plan now. According to the proposal write-up, the product demo was scheduled for 1 p.m. that day. The location printed on the map was blurry and hard to make out, but Minorikawa had a rough idea of where it was. It looked like he didn't have much of a choice but to swing by in the hopes of getting more material. He scanned further along into the proposal. Society of Surveillance, hidden cameras installed throughout Shibuya. The rise and fall of Shibuya's vigilante squad. Where are they now? Washed up screenwriter showcase. Sexy Square, twins share top prize at local university beauty contest. Shibuya Now. Black market organ trafficking in Shibuya? Shadowy foreign crime syndicate exposed. Those 7 pieces were to fill the 12 empty pages. That was the plan, at any rate, but there wasn't enough material here to make headway. The Shibuya Now article didn't even have any proposed content. This sucked hardcore. It didn't look like there was much material for the rise and fall of Shibuya's vigilante squad either. The note suggested that a few years prior, a group of youngsters in Shibuya had banded together to fight crime in their neighborhoods. At this point, however, things had flipped around completely and they'd become a gang of street punks themselves. Turn to the dark side. It had the makings for an interesting article, to be sure, but tracking down this game would take time. Minorikawa was personally intrigued by the one about the organ harvesting in Shibuya. The rumor was that organs were being smuggled out of Southeast Asia and fenced locally at tremendous prices. There was even a plan to ascertain the authenticity of these claims. Fascinating. If Minorikawa was going to be spending all day gathering other material, though, he didn't have much time to spare for it. Shibuya Now. The rise and fall of Shibuya's vigilante squad, black market organ trafficking in Shibuya. Minorikawa decided that one of those would have to go. He thought about it long and hard as he stared at the draft proposal. There was a good chance he'd really screw himself over if he picked the wrong one. Finally, he decided to cut Shibuya Now, rise and fall of Shibuya's vigilante squad. Well, finding the vigilante squad would take time. But Shibuya Now doesn't even have any details, so he decided to cut Shibuya Now. He didn't have time to make up an article out of whole cloth. His goal was to make sure that 4-star General Gossip made it to the press at all. Society of Surveillance. Where are they now? Sexy Squared. Those 3 pieces had individuals slated for interviews, but no appointments had been made with any of them. Unscheduled interviews were a dicey prospect. Minorikawa decided to call them up on his cell as he made his way down the list. The only one he managed to get a hold of was Shinosuke Orai from the Where Are They Now piece. Former broadcast writer, he has appeared on various popular variety shows on Commercial Network and Sun TV. He currently heads up a small theater troupe known as the Wandering Angels, operating out of Shibuya. Later today, the troupe has put on a performance at the Theater Ace in Sakuragawa, Kacho. He said to be willing to give a 15-minute interview after 2:30. Minorikawa sighed. He just had to get material from the others in a more impromptu fashion then. Putting his nose to the grindstone, he started throwing together the schedule for the day. Was it possible to get all that material right and write it all up and still finish the whole thing by 8 o'clock? It was no use. No matter how he tweaked it, none of his simulations ended with him having a proof ready on time. He just needed one more thing, and that was another writer. Minorikawa zoomed through his contacts list, calling up all the freelancers he knew. The results were depressing. Answering machines. Overseas on business. In the hospital. Currently doing time. Before long, he'd called everyone you could think of, except for one. Novice freelancer Chiaki Iso. Chiaki was a bit of an odd duck, a reporter who was scared of talking to people. Minorikawa had never known anyone who became so hopelessly flustered in a one-on-one setting. Such a rattled state as to be unable to speak. Chiaki's tendency to become flustered is famous among her freelance writer colleagues. Once she conducted an hour-long interview during which she only managed to ask her interview subject's name. Yet another chapter in the legend of hopelessly flustered Chiaki. If she couldn't talk to people, she certainly couldn't do her interviews. And if she couldn't get any real interview content, she wouldn't be able to write much in the way of a copy. Oh, would she come to his aid if asked? Quite probably. The issue was whether or not she would hinder more than help. This was no time for beggars to be choosers. What he needed now were beggars can't be choosers. We need this. There was no time for beggars to be choosers. Minorikawa decided to call up Chiaki. The phone rang several times before a sleepy voice finally answered. Sound only. Chiaki. Well... Chiaki, hi, it's Minorikawa. Are you free today? Huh? She seemed so thrown by the abrupt question. Did you just wake up? Huh? No, I mean... Well, yeah. Good morning. Her voice still sounded half asleep. So then I'm guessing you don't have any work slated for today, as usual. Pretty much. No work, no money, no food. Nothing to do except sleep. If I'm not awake, I can't dwell on how hungry I am. She didn't sound well. Almost like she literally didn't have anything to eat. Well, I've got work for you. Get over to 4-Star General Gossip. I'm over at 4-Star General Gossip. Get over there, ASAP. What? You really mean it? That seemed to finally wake her up. Yeah, but hurry. Minorikawa decided he'd assign Chiaki to the rise and fall of Shibuya's vigilante squad. First, I want you to take a look around Shibuya for this group of vigilante types. By vigilantes, you mean people who volunteer to help prevent crime. There was a note of relief in Chiaki's voice. Yeah, that's right. Except apparently now they turned into a nasty street gang. Did you say street gang? Nuh-uh. No, absolutely not. Minorikawa could almost see her shaking her head on the other end of the line. What if I get killed or sold into slavery overseas or something? He doubted there was much chance of the latter. Or the former, for that matter. But still he understood her concern. Alright, I hear you, he said. Then how about you go hang around Shibuya Station and go to some street interviews for me? Street interviews? There was a nervous waver in Chiaki's voice now. Yeah, just talk to normal, regular people walking around the train outside the train station. That should be fine, yeah? But Mr. Mino, street interviews aren't really my, Apparently it was beyond her capacity to give him a simple no. No buts. Just interview at least 10 people and give me an article by 6 o'clock. Okay. Minorikawa had originally planned to axe the Shibuya Now piece because it didn't have any content, but getting some quotes from people on the street would at least make for a useful filler. That gave him a sudden idea. He'd take on the vigilante himself and have Chiaki handle Shibuya Now. That was plenty of work to keep two people occupied throughout the day. More time-consuming Oregon Market story would have to be cut. After explaining what kind of interviews he was after, Minorikawa hung up. Okay, I've gotten us another writer. We'll get through Toyama. Somehow. Toyama shrugged gloomily. Yeah, well, the thing is, there's actually one more problem. Are you kidding me? Minorikawa couldn't hide the irritation in his voice. What is it now? The loan company is sending a debt collector over at 4 o'clock. But as you can imagine, I don't have a single yen to give them. That's ideal, yeah. So what's the plan? Well, they've said, provisionally, that if next month's issue gets published, they'll be willing to wait on repayment. Then there's no problem. The issue's coming out guaranteed. But they're not going to take my word on that anymore. I'm going to need to prove it. If we could fill, say, half of the 12 pages by the time they show up, I could probably convince them. Alright, Minorikawa said wearily. So for starters, we need 6 pages by 4 o'clock. They had to get all 12 pages done as it was. I made a perfect midpoint to shoot for. Any other problems you'd like to let me know about? No, Toyama said. No, that's all. I really am sorry about this, Minorikawa. Again, he bowed his head low. Minorikawa felt distinctly awkward. He had known Toyama for years, and had never been kowtowed to this before. Yeah, well, just let me handle it, alright? Alright, that's where I'm gonna end the episode. In the next episode, we'll continue Morikawa trying to help Toyama. Until then, this is the Gamer Girl, signing off. Bye-bye.